right, we're live. Hello, hello. This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Obelio.
Welcome to our review of the
I thought for a minute there
final
it was gonna have a pause again and not say anything like it did last.
I know.
I'll try not to make it so awkward for you guys.
Okay. Let's just jump right into it.
Well, Feminem was awesome.
Yes. Okay. Favorite character so far, just because last episode they destroyed the hobbits.
Mhm.
Yes. Although I really hated the opening scene where there's like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to be the Hobbit girl. Now I'm like, oh, you're Sauron, but you're not actually Sauron. So how can they get that so wrong?
I don't know.
It's like,
I mean, we're all confused too. Like, no one arrives by a meteor. They're just copying Game of Thrones to have the meteor in the sky,
right?
To have bad omens and whatnot.
And then can we just point out it's Sadik, right? That's the one guy's name.
Yes.
So he's out here bleeding the slow bleed of death. And obviously Gandalf now, it's clearly Gandalf because the nose comment. He's just here standing there, not going to heal the Hobbit. He's not going to heal him from a simple knife wound.
He's a bastard.
It's bleeding them out.
He hopes that they all die. He hates these things.
I know. He should hate them. That's the part that bothers me. He should absolutely, positively hate them. They're terrible to him.
Yeah, I think I was watching. I think it was EFAP, and they kept making a joke about how every single time he tries to cast a spell to do anything right, he gets fucking interrupted.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, fuck off, please. I'm trying to heal this grove, and then this child walks up and it's just like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't mean to do nothing wrong.
Right. And then
so dumb. Also, if it is Gandalf, they gave him a major power upgrade. So like he's just a walking god now.
Also, why the F does he just randomly know who the fuck he is after that?
I don't know. They revealed who he was, but who he was Sauron. So I'm very confused.
Yeah, notice how he was totally into it too. They're like, "You're Lord Sauron," and he's got this face like he just finished wanking it. Like, yes, I am Sauron. Love me.
And then he just knows
how
to speak properly all of a sudden. Like, he's been fully revealed, but then he's not been revealed. Like, he has no idea who he is.
He's been listening to Rosetta Stone on Audible while he's wandering the Rovanian.
And then, if he's so powerful, how could Feminem over there just dominate the crap out of him?
Yeah, I'm so confused by those three characters because, like, what the hell are they?
Are they supposed to be elves then?
No, actually, they answered that, and I immediately looked over at my lady while we were watching it. I was just like, "Oh my god, they whitewashed the Easterlings."
Oh wait.
So
they're from Udun.
Oh my
They're from the East. They are supposed to be Asian, and they whitewashed them.
That did not even process.
They don't even make sense though in their body shape or anything. They're made to look like the elves.
Yeah, kind of
level. So it's super weird.
And they have the magical staff, and also they turn into moths. Which at first, like, I'm not sure if this is actually where they're going with it, but I thought maybe like, oh, they're gonna say that those are the moths that Gandalf communes with now.
Is that what they're going for? That's actually stupid.
Well, I mean, with this show, everything's stupid, but yeah.
Well, dumber than I thought it was. Can we also just point out that the Balrog doesn't show up again? It's purely.
I called it. I told you it wasn't coming back.
And they didn't need any more mithril at all.
No.
It's also,
It had enough in that little
amount.
It's so dumb. Oh my gosh, the fact that they make the rings out of it, and Galadriel is just like, yeah, let's fucking make the rings still.
We have to make three. Because also, can we just point out the fact that according to Rings of Power, Galadriel is the villain. She is the actual villain.
She definitely is.
This is okay, here's the part that drove me insane. Galadriel's entire life is ruling people, right? She rules. Her entire life is ruling. And her complaint with Sauron is, oh, to save the world or to rule the world. It's like, bitch, you rule a kingdom. You rule it. You literally rule a kingdom. How is that any different than if you made the world your kingdom?
And the thing is, so it completely defeats her story arc that goes through to the trilogy, because she does have a dream as a child that she will become like a queen of a realm. Yeah. And that's what that whole scene is in the trilogy, where she resists the power of the ring. And she's like, oh, I passed the test. So you've ruined the arc now, because now she's already done it, essentially.
Right. And if she had taken that power, I mean, Sauron's whole point was that he wanted her to temper him, like make him good. So
they made Sauron an incel.
Yeah, they made it where he basically would have been a good king if only Galadriel would have ruled with him.
Yeah, so she is the villain. But
She's
also,
literally the villain.
Did I understand it correctly that he's just like floating off to die, and wasn't planning on grabbing Galadriel in that scene?
He's just floating out there sad because he's just lost everything. He's in a depressive state.
But that happened like
are you talking about when he's
years
on the
before?
raft?
Yeah, but he can't die. He's just put himself in a purgatory.
For 2,000 years or however long this has been now?
Well, they don't believe in time. So, and their entire view of him was that all he wanted to do was go be a smith with the Númenóreans once he was there, because he just wants to be humble. He's given up on ruling. And then they made it where she gives him the...
You could have had this story arc, sort of, if Morgoth was still around. But the fact that Morgoth is already gone, Sauron is fully corrupt at this point. It's the same idea of how they've created orcs. So the orcs cannot come back. They're fully corrupted elves. It's the same thing with Sauron. He's fully corrupted.
Right.
It's so stupid.
But Galadriel's the one who gave him the heart to become a ruler again, and then she goes and says, "Screw you! I'm not going to help you be good. I'm just going to." Yeah, she's the villain.
It's not quite as simple as that, because he does say, to rule, or she says to rule, and he says there is no. I don't see any difference there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. She does rule. She's a queen of a kingdom.
Which she's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
She literally, her entire life story is ruling over people.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in this world is ruled by somebody. There's no realm of free men. There's no United States of America. She's not Lady Liberty, okay?
She's going to establish that, yeah.
They're going to make her Lady Liberty. Because that doesn't exist. Galadriel is a queen.
I'm just gonna make a really funny coincidence that it turns out that if you look at the way the world of Middle Earth and all that like changes and forms as Middle Earth becomes Europe, essentially, it's really fucking funny that Valinor is America.
Yes.
Get fucked. The rest of the world.
But for real, where does her stance on you're gonna rule the world like?
Also, what are they protecting it from? He is the shadow. They don't establish anything like Morgoth's corruption is still there and like it's encroaching on everything or whatever. It's him. He is the threat.
Right.
So I don't like that. She should have just asked.
There is other evil in the world, theoretically, but
it stems from Morgoth and Sauron to an extent, but
the
they
orcs
don't address that.
The orcs still exist. Dragons exist. Other big baddies exist.
Yeah, but nothing that would be like a full shadow. I mean, you still have it's supposed to be the height of Númenor and the height of the elves. There shouldn't mean anything that can challenge them.
Right. No, I agree. It's just I can't get over the fact that her entire thing is like, I am Lady Liberty. You want to rule people. I want them to be free, to be ruled by me alone. Like,
there's so much to go over. Let's try and just because we've skipped across like 2/3 of the episode.
I know.
Let's reel it back. Believe me, I know. Yeah. It's rough.
The rest of the episode is smithing. It's literally smithing.
They made those rings like in an hour.
Yeah.
Well, if there is one thing that positively note, I do appreciate that they tried to actually like give some amount of time frame. It's like, we're going to take 3 months to work on this. and
That's
they
the
rode
first
across.
time.
well, the first bit of time that they were like, "Hey, we rode from Mordor to here in 6 days," and I'm like, "A week?
Mm-hmm. Without rest,
what?
by the way. So they have
Without
magical
rest,
horses too.
And he's dying.
Listen, I get that elves can fucking like turn on their horses by speaking into their ears, but like a week? Are we kidding? Why it shouldn't have taken the it shouldn't taken the Rohirrim like a month to prepare for the Battle of Gondor.
Yeah.
They should have been down there in like a day. But
According to
so
that,
you have the time, so you have the time frame that's all totally fucky, and then we'll just jump straight into the fucking elves. Everything about this drove me insane. I kept stopping and pausing, and my girl like hit me there. I'm just like, come on. I was like, I'm sorry. It's just they're so stupid.
Right.
It's like the first like I mean I don't. I'm willing to overlook stupid little things like the first person that Galadriel happens to see when she rides her horse right into Eregion is Elrond. Like, I'm willing to overlook something like that. But they're like, he needs help, he needs medicine. So they put him in bed. And then, like, 2 seconds later, he's wandering around Celebrimbor's workshop like they gave him a fucking placebo.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he should have been, like, very sick at that point. They could have shown the progression of whatever was wrong with him by having him, like, slung over Galadriel's horse or something.
They didn't even give us anything from the journey to make it where she's like concerned for his health and well-being. He is an unknown character still at this point. He could die. Like he is the one character that people could be like, he could die. So why aren't you using that? Yeah. Like why aren't you using that for, I don't know, some form of suspense?
Also, that the corruption scene where he gives Celebrimbor like the suggestion is so stupid. It's like mix it with another metal. It's like, oh, you know, the greatest elven craftsman or the second greatest of all time
like he
doesn't know how to do this.
Yeah, he's
but
too stupid.
They could have. That should have been the entire season. Is that that conversation that they have where he's slowly corrupting him to do this? Also, there's no mention of what the rings are supposed to do. So, what was his original plan for this forge? It clearly wasn't for rings. So what was he building the forge for?
The first time they were going to make crowns.
Well, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just as confused at that point as well, because if the whole idea, because like the show is literally called The Rings of Power. All right. So we're going to get the Rings of Power. Great. So they're finally making these things look like they fell out of a bobble cap in a Walmart pickup.
They're not brilliant.
And what drives me nuts the most is, so they're supposed to use this mithril to like prevent this corruption. Okay. So I think what they're trying to do is, and this is me commenting on the writers' ideas. I think the writers are trying to use the rings as like an aura that prevents, because you know how Galadriel is so powerful that she just makes Lothlorien like perpetually beautiful and all that. She's literally that strong. So I wonder if they're trying to go in that direction, that the rings can help as a massive radius. But they don't even remotely try to explain that that's the case, because it's like they have to go around and touch everything like a kid in a museum. It's like, and that's healed, and that's healed, and that's healed. Okay, but why rings? Why were they thinking about a crown? What was the goal of using it?
Supposed to reflect back on itself. You know, is putting the ring on your finger would ruin that. So, and again, like the rings have specific powers. Like they have like, I don't remember which one. The one that sticks out in my mind is the Ring of Fire for Gandalf, but they don't explain any of that. So they already had the jewels ready for them. So that doesn't make sense. And then also, like, is there no magic inherent in the ring?
They make
other than the mithril, and they're going to make armor out of mithril later,
right? Like that's the part that baffles me. They're making it sound like mithril's like this magic ingredient to these rings that makes them so powerful. Mithril wasn't that rare.
It was rare.
Well, it's rare, but like from an expense thing, it's still used quite a bit.
Isn't it just still like a very special metal?
Yeah,
it's not having magical powers like this.
Mithril literally is just a really strong metal. It's lighter. It's the equivalent of titanium, but has the weight of like aluminum. That's literally what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, right. Okay. Which is why them making the whole reason the rings can exist being that is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's so stupid. And there's no build up to these rings. Not really.
No, they shoehorn those things in at the very end.
They're like,
it's just like, wait, now we're doing the Rings of Power?
Yeah, because everyone loves Mithril, right? Everyone's like, oh, Frodo has that Mithril little suit of armor type thing, shirt of armor, and oh, well, everyone knows Mithril. Let's tie Mithril into the rings so we can touch on all these different topics and try to pretend like they're one topic, one thing. That's why it's so special. No, it's not why it's special.
Yep.
It's just ugh.
I'm just so frustrated because again the rings are just baubles.
They're a prop at the end.
They're nothing, and they're supposed to be a shitload of them. So how do the rest of them get made?
No, because the other ones aren't made by them. Aren't the Elven rings made in secret from Sauron?
All of the Rings of Power were not made by anyone except for, I believe, Sauron.
I thought the elves ones were different.
I don't recall, because if I remember correctly, because she does the whole 3 for the Elven Lords, 7 for the Dwarves, 9 for the humans, and then there was the one in secret. And I say this as I'm literally hearing the song that they fucking
that song at the end
ears and
so hard. I hated that. What genre were they trying to do? It doesn't even make sense. It sounds like it's supposed to be a jazz club and trying to be seductive, but at the same time, it's being sung by like a one-legged stripper. Like, I don't know.
It sounds like Billie Eilish gargling a banjo. I also don't understand. So we're getting so far ahead of ourselves, and I'm a part of it. I don't get why Sauron, because oh my god, everyone on the planet was right. I don't understand what the purpose of making the rings was. Like, why did he help them to make the rings in the first place?
It doesn't make any sense. That's another thing. They don't ever show him like putting his corruption into the rings. So there's this whole missing component of the whole effing purpose of him doing this. It's just I'm so confused by the storytelling in this show. They have all the pieces. They seem to understand the major players, but they have no idea the timeline or how they interact.
I just looked it up. Sauron participated in making all the rings except for the Elven rings.
Yes. Yeah, because the Elven rings are able to take off when Sauron puts on the one ring. They could sense them, but they did not become corrupted.
Right.
And then the dwarves were not corrupted, but they are just inherently sturdy, but they're very greedy, so they kind of disappear themselves. And then obviously the men all succumbed.
Mm-hmm. But no. Give me something that's good from this episode. Like, what's good about it?
It ends.
Yep.
It ends, yeah. I mean, there's the whole what Numenor had was good, I guess. The scene where
I mean, they are setting up Erlen as like the main reason why the true people of Numenor are going to leave. Not Isildur, not Miriel.
It sucks. I'll say
an original character.
It's cool that they were going with the stones for those seeing stones is the reason. Yeah, that he went insane. It's a good plug, I would say. But,
yeah, I meant to look it up after the episode what the seeing stones are actually meant to do.
They were supposed to be a tool for communication.
Yeah, just to communicate.
But the problem is they're also like corrupted.
They were Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really understand.
Because Sauron doesn't have one yet, because he doesn't get one until he takes over Cirith Ungol, I think, right? Or whatever becomes the Witch King's castle.
Angmar? Oh no! I'm sorry.
Right outside of
Witch King, Minas Morgul.
Yeah, that one.
He doesn't get it until
Minas Illith. Minas Illith, I think.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
So like,
I don't. You're right. It's not even. It shouldn't have been a problem for that guy anyway.
I got hung up on the fact that that Isildur's sister was drawing the side of the face that she's not seeing. I was like, how the fuck? Like my lady pointed this out audibly. Like she's like, how? She's an artist. And she's looking over, and the guy's like, his head is like pointing towards her, and she's got this like perfect side view chalk line of his left side from his right.
So here's the thing.
Fucking what?
Here's the thing. While I was watching this, I became so convinced that they need to make episode 9 and make it a movie. Okay, I'm thinking comedy, right? Think like Blades of Glory. Think Tropic Thunder. Think Superbad or anything else, or War Dogs or something like that, right? Mainly in the style of Tropic Thunder, where you started off immediately with Bezos like closing the laptop after having watched the whole thing and just being like, that's it? Where the fuck did all my money go? And then it does a flashback to like them getting the go ahead to make this, and you have these, and then before the credits go, because you don't want to get sued, right? Just be like, this is not based on true events, but would you be surprised if it were true? That's the disclaimer before this film, all right? And then you jump right into it where these two idiots, who are the writers, are just, it's just, their mindset is they can't fuck it up. It's Lord of the Rings. They literally can't fuck it up because of how popular the original trilogy was.
We literally just have to plagiarize.
And they're just, let's have them smoking dope high as shit when they're doing this, kind of like it's Pineapple Express, and have them just like, dude, we literally can't. Let's not try that hard. We can't.
What if they think Gandalf is Sauron? Whoa,
dude. Yeah. What if Galadriel is just this badass, but yeah, she's just a badass. Like we never saw her with a sword before, man. And then have it where they told us it was going to be Game of Thrones, right? The Game of Thrones of Amazon, and have it where one of them's just like, yeah, I hired, let's make it some European guy like Louise or something, right? And there's like, yeah, dude, we're going to make the best Game of Thrones ever for Amazon. I hired him. He's done a ton of work for the hub.com over there. He's an expert.
Hub.com of Thrawn.
Yes, he's from that website. And then when it comes to the mining scenes, Louise is just like, okay, guys, I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of experience filming caverns or mining scenes, but I do have experience with small rooms and tiny holes, so let's make a Belrog glory hole scene. And like that explains that part away.
If that isn't the most blue ball cock teasing moment, the fucking glory hole is not used to fuck the dwarves royally.
And then you just have it where they're just upset because he's just like, what do you mean it has to be family friendly? You mean Galadriel can't have any nude scenes? Well, okay, we'll make her just soaking wet in a white outfit, and then we'll pretend like she's available the entire season with this tension with Sauron. We'll pretend so hard that even her husband died, but she's still emotionally available because she didn't care enough about him. She just made fun of him before he went off to die.
And we'll also put her in a dress that's incredibly padded, like a 14-year-old's bra. Did anyone else notice that? Like like she went from looking like an ironing board to just bam.
But then they just have this whole thing where just make it a huge joke, like it's Tropic Thunder. Okay, the filming of Tropic Thunder. There's like, okay, hear me out. Everyone loved the scene where the Rohirrim ride in to save Gondor. What if we recycle that? Okay? We recycle that. Dude, no. What about the time Frodo and them hid underneath the log and almost got caught? Let's recycle that too. Yes. And then Treebeard's whole breaking the dam thing, but let's make it not the good guys, so we subvert expectations. Oh, what if that makes the volcano go off? Why would it make the volcano go off? I have no idea, but think how awesome it is. Blows out huge dope smoke. All right, like,
and they couldn't get past one episode without ripping something off, because the entire time Halbrand and Galadriel are riding in front of a green screen, I was like, oh look, this is just Arwen carrying Frodo.
And then let's just make it just for the sake of the joke. It's just like one of the directors is just like, what can I put my girlfriend in on one of the characters? Can I cast her? She's done a ton of work. She's only done work for thehub.com with her idiot brother Louise. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Bezos would not believe we're spending his money wisely if you did that. Just have a bunch of stupid jokes and it'd be fantastic. And then you end it with Bezos just being like, okay, well, I already spent the money. The people have to see this. So we'll let them see it, and you guys are never working for Amazon ever again.
And Robert Downey Jr. was Arondir the whole time.
Right. And then you just have a whole new it's just like, this is trash and it's not getting a season 2. I'm going a different direction. And then ends it right there. And then you get a trailer for what they're actually going to try to do with season 2, which is a completely new story.
And season 2 is just fucking amazing.
Yes,
like,
it
puts
good.
House of the Dragon to total shame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're just like, oh, they were fucking around.
But like, that's the only way to do it. It'd be so good too. So good. If they made it like Tropic Thunder,
you're never gonna do it. They're gonna double down on this. Some people like this show, by the way.
Dude, this show is so mockable. It would be fantastic.
Like, yeah, I know we talked about this before, but even if you have not read any Tolkien stuff, you haven't seen the Peter Jackson trilogy.
It's just not good.
It's just not good.
It does not have good writing. It literally has them picking big events and not writing to them. It's literally not writing to them. It's trying to do a hop skip like you're skipping rocks in a lake.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, oh, shoot. That scene's this episode. We have to write this episode specifically to that big scene, but we didn't do anything to world build or establish it as a possibility until this episode.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is the entire season.
It all built up to this one episode, and this episode literally blows its load halfway through with the fight between the stranger and the... I'm hesitant to call them Acerlings. You have Feminem, you have whatever the Valkyrie one, and then you have a grandma.
Right.
Did anyone else laugh out loud when Sadek stabs her in the foot and she throws her head back, and her teeth are gone?
What about the ghillie suit sniper hobbits? Okay,
that was absurd.
The ghillie suit,
and he just got hit in the chest with a knife, and he's like,
right.
Aha!
And he's like,
and she's like, ah! And I'm like, what is that? I'm watching a Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Peter Pan and the Lost Boys had a more serious scene in general than that scene with the hobbits doing combat.
I mean, pretty much everything anyone has ever seen has been more serious than this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I just really want an episode 9 to be a movie. I just really want that. And it's just like, yeah.
We already know that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but it needs to. So, I mean, that's the only way Bezos can possibly save his money. He can recoup it. This series would instantly become comedic gold if a movie existed at the end of this mocking it. Put on by Bezos himself, where he actually decides to be in the movie. That's how much he's like, I need to recoup my losses here. It'd be so good.
Where do you think they're going to go with season 2? Because you know they're going to skip over that
hell.
movie.
They're going to go to fucking hell.
Well, that's a given.
They're not going to do... I don't even know. Because here's the thing. Magical Colony that was abandoned didn't even get shown. Magical Colony that all the refugees were going to
true.
didn't even get shown.
Yeah, the magical colony that happens to also be a long-established Numenorian base. I'm like, what do you mean? You guys were already established? Why?
Why are you acting like you had no access to trade routes in Middle Earth? You should have been a trade hub, you idiots.
They're more isolated than Wakanda for no reason.
Yeah, I don't. So, how are they going to portray the fall of Numenor now? Like, are they going to have, I forget the queen's name. Is she going to go back and capture Sauron, bring him back? There's going to be like one scene where he corrupts.
Capture Sauron. She can't see her hand in front of her face, and we all know that they're trying to set up.
She's doing Daredevil. She can like count steps and stuff.
You mean miscount? She's like 9, and he's like, no, 9 was like 2 steps forward or something like that. And I'm like, oh my god, she's fucking useless. I know she just became blind with all that ash to her forehead.
She will be able to do acrobatics
as
good as Galadriel next season.
I mean, they are trying to set up Pharazôn as the villain for Numenor, which, okay, fine, we're kind of trying to maybe kind of sort of lean towards like the proper story for Numenor, but I also cannot help but think that how is Isildur going to get out of the building?
Right.
I'm still hung up on that. Everyone totally abandoned him. Adar and all of them are in that village. What are they going to do? Open the fucking building and he's just gonna do a little party dance
in the box,
distract them before walking away.
He's going to get saved by his horse.
He's going to be on fire. The horse is going to pee on him. That way it subverts our expectations.
He fell into the tunnel. He fell into the tunnel. They're going to have him coming out of a tunnel somewhere, and he's going to be trying to run away from orcs, and his horse is going to come and find him.
Fall into the tunnel. He's going to, go with the water that's still flowing into the volcano.
Exactly. He just got washed into the volcano. What are you talking about?
No, he's gonna be holding on to some tree root that's still hanging down through it, and then he's gonna bust out of the ground into the well or something, and his horse is gonna be there to save him when he's surrounded by orcs,
and then sling it up on its shoulder and swim. Yeah. It's just gonna fucking swim back to Numenor with him.
Yeah, it's gonna swim upriver about 200 miles. Yes. With him hanging on, unable to get onto the saddle.
It's going to forge him a new sword.
Yeah. It's going to shit him a new sword.
Oh, man. This show.
It's so bad.
It is so bad.
It's so bad.
This is why I've completely ignored everyone that has any sort of negative comments about any of the criticism that comes against the show. Because there was, I had one 2 or 3 hours ago or something that popped up, and it was like, I knew a lot of low lifes were gonna make criticisms about the show, and I nailed it. I'm like, go fuck yourself. You're just gonna oh, you're a low life for what? Criticizing a shit show? I mean, this is the amount of defense. And of course, that night I happened to be scrolling through Twitter, just kind of seeing what the initial reactions were to get the gist of it. And people were like, oh my God, that scene where they're standing on the raft and it went upside down, it changed lives. Are you shitting me?
I holy shit, I forgot about the raft.
These are the kinds of people that their most exciting day of the year is going to the store. I cannot imagine watching this show and thinking that it would transform lives. But what did I say? I could no life experience.
It's that bad. It's literally that bad. It could cause depression. I could see that.
I'm fucking depressed.
Joy? I don't see freaking joy in that show.
I don't either.
They ruined this. Okay. Again, back to the rings. They ruined that whole build-up because they mentioned the fact that building this forge wasn't for rings, which still doesn't make sense to me. Then, again, what the fuck are the rings supposed to do? Oh my gosh.
What was the point of building the forge in the first place?
Yes, there is no point.
So, supposedly they were supposed to, because presumably we're supposed to believe that Gil-galad and Celebrimbor knew about the mithril, and so they were building the forge to use said material without knowing any of its properties, without knowing anything about it. They just assume that things are going to work out. They just assume that the dwarves are going to say yes.
This is the annoying thing. Like, there's no timeline to the show. And there's so much stuff that should have been, like, I don't know, built up, just established as a concept well before the time it actually occurs.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't. They just don't. It doesn't make any sense. It literally just puts home the point that if they had wanted this to be successful, they needed to have done this as if it was the like Marvel Cinematic Universe. They needed to have like multiple TV series at the same time, all building up into a final.
They just needed to understand the material they're working with, really.
I don't know. I honestly think that they had too many story arcs for one season.
Well, yeah.
They have too many story arcs for one season.
They should have just had one.
Yeah,
which no, was honestly none of the story arcs that they had. None of them should have been there.
Yeah, none of them.
Well, obviously they shouldn't have been, but they could have just made the Galadriel one work if they took the time to refine it.
Right.
Like this is
have
like,
her be more of a director, not the heroine of whatever. It would have made so much more sense if they just had the Galadriel character be random lady elf that Galadriel sends out as her warrior.
Well, there's no tension because like she's a warrior, but as you know, we've pointed out, she can basically create an entire realm of protection around Lothlorien. Right. She is wickedly powerful. So there's no real tension there.
You know she can't die. Yeah. So making her the main character of this bullshit story arc is pointless because you have nothing that would establish suspense. Like, okay, here's the thing. Think of how much better it happens when you use random elf that is a servant of Galadriel. Every time she almost dies or there's potential harm to her, it is believable that you're like, oh, is this when she's going to die? Because we know Galadriel isn't successful in stopping this because of the way that the actual universe occurs. So is this the moment that they fail? Is this what causes them to fail? Like what type of setback is this going to be to the mission? But it's not believable because Galadriel has literal plot armor and they've written her in such a way that she's just not going to develop at all. Like there's no point to her.
If it's an argument of main character syndrome, I think one of the issues that the show could have easily avoided with all of it is if she's more or less like the main character for the first season, and that's fine. The problem is they wrote it so that she is literally unstoppable. Yeah. If she is getting her ass kicked, right? Like that's Snow Troll, and that
she needs to have setbacks. She doesn't have setbacks.
Agreed. That Snow Troll fight, I mean, 3 of the elves get hit with an ice block out of nowhere. And
none of them are actually hurt either, by the way.
Exactly. They all stand up willy-nilly. The one dude gets slammed. The one girl gets backhanded with equality, and everyone's totally fine. No one is in pain. No one's any of this. Galadriel comes in, kills the Snow Troll.
They just whine like little bitches.
Basically.
They don't even get hurt. They're not even screaming in pain. They're just like, oh no, Galadriel, save us.
Basically, like if that fight had gone a little more south than the outcome of the cave troll fight, like it would have been fine. Show everyone that she truly is reckless without she's literally level 20 in a level 5 area.
Let her break an arm for damn sake. Like, why can't she break an arm?
Anything at all. Shit that, constant setbacks, constant struggle. Nothing.
Even if she doesn't get
happens.
hurt, she causes the other ones to actually get hurt and die because she is reckless.
Right. Or show us that elven magic healing. All right. Show it to us. Have her have a leg busted terribly and gets dragged back by her cohorts and then gets healed. And then finds out that because she was so reckless and couldn't be out there to help them, people died. And then she needs to live with the fact that she blames herself for some of her soldiers dying. I
She's
don't
already
know.
gone through that story arc. Remember, the volcano explodes. She takes a pyroclastic flow to the face.
She has no
totally
soldiers
fine.
with her. She has no soldiers with her. Not a single person that is one of hers ever dies. Not a single
she's
one.
a changed person now.
This is best emphasized by the fact that she literally only gets scratched on her left arm because the plot tells her to. She never gets physically injured in any other scene.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in that one? I'm sorry, I'm like
all I was simply saying is this is best like her bullshit plot armor is best emphasized by the fact that the only time she was physically injured was when they scratched her on her arm when she was training with the Númenórean soldiers.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Yeah. The snow troll doesn't come close. She fucking splits its jaw and then kills it with a headshot. She tanks a pyroclastic flow and she doesn't even have singed hair.
Okay.
She never gets into a fight with any of the orcs.
Right.
She never actually gets into a big fight with Sauron. In fact, she ends up almost beating him in terms of like overcoming his mind control and all that. Like she never fails unless
Well, she still technically does not fail against Sauron. She resisted enough to make it where he still fled.
And I'm still hung up on why he fled.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, you put her down in the... Turn her upside down, first off, so that she's actually drowning and not just taking a bath. And then push her down the fucking creek. Like, just hide her, like, Skyrim her ass up behind a rock, for God's sake. Like, he just leaves, and then everyone is fucking confused. Like, where's Halbrand? I wonder where are you going, Galadriel? Nothing. I'll tell you later.
Can we just point out how stupid it is that we're supposed to believe that Sauron isn't the reason that Mount Doom explodes and the reason the Southlands aren't all the land of fire and shit? Like, why are we supposed to believe that that's a situation forced on him?
It was literally a human off screen that no one's going to remember after this season who also survived the pyroclastic flow.
Yep. That's a great point, though. He actually has no agency in this show.
Yeah.
So he doesn't create Mount Doom or Mordor. And the Rings of Power were essentially created by Galadriel because she's the one like, let's make 3 of them.
So he's not a villain. He has this terrible land because it was forced on him. He's just living with what he has. Of course, he can forge the ring now. Like, I guess you guys gave me this volcano, so I can be a smith over here on the volcano, per what this story arc is.
Not to mention, he also stopped by a fucking thrift shop to grab up that evil cloak of his.
Right. And he was going to be. He wanted to be a king. He never indicated he wanted to be a king of carnage and destruction.
God, I hated that reveal when she's like, she orders the steward or whatever. She's like, look into the royal family of the Southlands, and then later she's like, standing there with the fucking with the entire royalties line of descendants and whatnot. And I'm like, wait. So you took the time at the Hall of Wikipedia back in Númenor to look up this sigil and find out that he was like royalty, but you didn't think to flip the fucking page and find out, these people died off like 1,000 years ago. Who the fuck are you?
Dead.
Like, could you imagine if they just like dropped that in the middle of that episode? We're talking episode 3 or 4 here, and then he manages to convince Muriel to literally deport her, which is really funny when you think about that.
Here's the other question, though. The other question is this: why are we supposed to believe that the Númenóreans didn't have that information, but the elves did? Like, it's the Númenóreans who are doing all the trade with the other humans that have the colonies.
They had the information. She's just too stupid to look it up.
Well, okay, but they have to. The audience currently is too stupid to realize that, so they needed to spell that out. In my opinion.
Like, they couldn't spell it out any fucking harder if this was a spelling bee.
Some
of these lines, like it was his suggestion. His suggestion was the key that opened the dam. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
How
right
was
now?
his suggestion that opened the?
That so at a point, when Gil-galad arrives and he's like, "So what is this butt plug for?" And they're like, "It's going to save us all." And Celebrimbor is like, "Oh well, this dude gave me a suggestion," and then he says the line that his suggestion was merely the key that opened the dam. And I'm like, "You're fucking with me, right? You guys actually wrote this?
Yeah.
Really? Like." It
oh
was bad
yeah, that is really
it.
on the nose. You're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought it was stupid. It was clunky dialogue, but no, yep.
Horrible fucking dialogue.
They also they show the rings. They zoom in and zoom out like 12 times, which is really frustrating to me. But when they're melting that freaking dagger, because for some reason you can melt mithril as long as it's melted after another metal, which
as long as you sing to it.
Yeah, it's the Eye of Sauron. They show the Eye of Sauron like 1,300 times in the show.
Oh yeah, like when they're smelting Galadriel's dagger and Elrond drops the mithril in, and it's an eye. Get it? It's the symbiotisms.
The thing is, he had nothing to do with the forging.
What?
I ignore it all. Like I just will blissfully ignore that shit because it's stupid.
The thing is, they don't show him corrupting at all. He just suggested how to melt it. It's the dumbest.
He's only helpful.
I mean, he walks in, tickles a grandpa's fancy, and then that's it.
I just want to point out that they did not make Sauron a villain.
No.
He's not a villain at all. Galadriel's the villain. 100% the villain. Like,
I'm still just waiting for Galadriel to actually be Sauron.
how can you write yourself out of this paper bag? This plastic bag that they've put over their heads. Like, how do they write out of it? Because I don't think it's possible unless they fire the writers, hire new writers.
I honestly, at this point, I don't think they could possibly save it, even with the retcons, because this is the same kind of terrible that the Rise of Skywalker had to try and overcome, and it was worse for it.
Yep.
It's just someone thought this was a good idea. Oh, okay. The thing that pisses me off more than the show, though, are the diehard fans, all right, who are over here just trying to come up with excuses, trying to say how the show is great. And they tried to write better plot lines and ideas than the show, as if they actually believe the show is going in that direction. And now they're just going to start doing the same stupid thing for season 2 and not recognize that season 1 sucks.
It is a consistent point about all of these shows that we have seen as of late. Like this is why I in hindsight almost want to go back and do a episode by episode of House of the Dragon, because with the exception of a few little issues here and there, that, you know, from the occasional pop-ins of like your streams or
you've ignored House of the Dragon for the most part, right?
Yeah, basically. Like I first off, I have like no time to myself to do a damn thing. Like this is literally work, and if I had the time, I would probably be watching like 2 or 3 other seasons or series, and it's just not the case. But when you see all these other things, like take a look at She-Hulk, for example. It's like, who were the villains in She-Hulk, right? They basically turned YouTuber Doomcock into the villain. That's what they did for one of these episodes, because they were trying to basically release all of her because they were spying on her through a camera, right? They were basically using revenge porn to ruin her life. So they're trying to say that YouTubers and people who hate us are evil incels trying to ruin our lives when we're living at the top. And then you go back and you look at the latter half of Game of Thrones, and look at what that turned into. Basically, all the men were fucking useless.
Yeah.
All of them. Like, you're going to tell me the Hound lost to fucking what's her nuts in a fight?
No, you're right. You're
Like
100%
Arya
right.
is the one who kills the goddamn Night King out of literal thin air. Like I don't know if you've seen the
Yeah, that whole thing is so bullshit. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
But my point,
that doesn't happen in the books. There's no way that's going to happen in the books.
well, agreed. But the point being that it is this political writing, and the problem with it being political writing is not the fact that it happens; it's the fact that it happens without continuous reasonable backing within the show. Like if a woman is if a woman character is raped in the show and she's like, I'm going to kill all men because of this, and that kind of shit continuously happens to her, and there's reason to back it up, fine, I'm totally down for
Makes
it.
sense.
But if a character just out of nowhere becomes this ultimate badass who can flawless victory a snow troll with little to no reason or effort behind it, I don't buy it. Because if you look at this, what happened? We have Galadriel, who is an unstoppable Karen Sue of unfathomable proportions. She literally puts Rey Skywalker in her place. She's so powerful. Then you have Queen Muriel, Tar Muriel, who is now the Regent Queen of Numenor. She never fucking was. I think it's like her older brother or her cousin who becomes king at the time.
Yeah.
But they had to make her the queen. Why? Because of politics. Isildur is not the one who's going to unify Numenor and lead the true-hearted back to the path of righteousness. It's gonna be his sister.
Yep.
Everything happens here because
they're gonna make him marry her at least.
They also killed off the male hobbit. Now it's a female that's leading that troop.
And then you have Bimbo Baggins walking around with a stranger as though she fucking matters. I would not give a shit if these characters had true agency and reason to back them up. Galadriel, ironically, is actually the closest one because of the using Finrod's death as a reason to go and fight.
But
Nori has no reason to fucking exist.
But ignoring her husband's death.
Well, yeah, sure. I said the closest. Motivation. I never said good.
Okay, I'm just saying, like.
No, well aware. But like, Isildur's sister, Erilyn, has just been forced into, you're going to be the one to save everyone, guide Numenor. Out of nowhere. What reason? What context? She drew the wrong side of his face? Are you kidding? She's probably going to lead in the wrong goddamn direction. But they went with that. You know, Queen Muriel is, well, she's dropping albums, I'm sure. And then Galadriel. Galadriel is the one who came up with a third ring.
Yeah.
It was her reason, based on what, by the way? Based on what? Does anyone else remember that conversation?
Yeah, I do, because she based it on the fact
that 2 divide 3 balances some stupid shit.
Exactly.
Some stupid
oh
shit
my gosh. What does 4 do then? What does 5 do then? What does 6 do?
Well, 5. Well, I always thought 3's a crowd. Piss off. It's just, but that's where it is.
Sees one person fucked over. That's what happens. Like 3 is not that great.
Well, she wanted one. That's all that was. She wants a ring.
Yeah,
but she doesn't even know what the rings do.
They don't do anything. That's my point. And the thing is, she's also not a queen, so there's no reason for her to have one for her realm. It's just there's just so much to this. Like I'm past the point of being like annoyed and bewildered by the show, and now I'm just pissed.
Exactly. Like that's why it drives me nuts. It's they shoehorn in Erilyn, they shoehorned in Muriel. Like again, if the reasoning was there, I would be for it. I would support it. But the problem is, it's all happening for no other reason than let's make these original characters and these specific characters better than literally everyone else.
Well, okay. Let's take this as an opportunity. We can discuss, because you brought it up, the House of the Dragon real quick.
Okay.
The House of the Dragon. Well, let's just say what we thought of this last episode. Well, what have you been able to watch it yet?
Yes.
Okay. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. It is everything I want. You want in the we're going to steal the throne from the true heir right now. We're going to steal it, and they do all of the political intrigue, everything that you would expect them to do when they're trying to consolidate power.
And they even set up divisions within the families. Yeah. So there's so much going on.
There's so much internal conflict. There's internal conflict. There's external conflict. There's people picking sides, showing agency. Even non-viewed side characters up until this point, when they're introduced as characters who have to make a decision about what path they're going to take, show agency and character. They're not simply background people. They're not. They're like, they actually show something of development. They actually move the story forward. And then you see the internal struggle within the family because the brothers are very different. The one's a scumbag.
Oh yeah,
right?
You mean the Targaryen kids?
pirate?
Yeah.
The Targaryens. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the pirate, I still want to slap, but he is actually the one that is probably more fit to be king.
He is.
And he definitely thinks that at the very least.
Yeah.
Isn't he also the one that like watches children kill children?
No, that's the other one. That's the one who's unfit. But okay, he's the same as Daemon. Let's be honest. Daemon was more suited to be king than his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, he was. People would say, "Oh, he's so combative," but like, he's actually strong. Like, he's the strong ruler they needed, not the indecisive one.
You get to see some dragon action.
The dragon scene is good, although obviously they can't have her fry them because
the thing is, I like the commentary about that scene because obviously that doesn't happen in books where she busts through the sept like that, but it really does like portray like a very complex character.
See, that's the thing.
She refuses to be held captive. She shows the agency that she's a dragon rider. She's going to do whatever she wants. She's still loyal to the original king, but she also respects the queen as a mother and refuses to kill her.
But that's the other thing. When they take liberties and add things, it's for character development and empathizing with character decisions.
Yep.
It's not to just God mode or, ooh, yes, girl, badass moment. It's not that shit. All right. Like, it's actual character development, internal conflict and strife.
And the way that they apparently work together, I guess, like there's lots of little, from what little I have seen, apparently there are little like nods. It's like Daemon, the whatever doctor, the Doctor Who character. Apparently he's supposed to go and kill a bunch of people, and she just gives him a very subtle nod, and he's like, "All right." Like, how far off am I in that? Because I'm pretty sure
there are tons. There's throughout the. So we just said what we thought about the new episode. Basically, it's really good. It sets up the last episode fantastically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much. There's going to be a second season. I'm assuming.
Yep.
It's guaranteed at this rate. But like, this is everything I would have expected from a opening season. There's so much build up to what the final episode is going to be. Nothing of the sort has happened in Rings of Power.
No.
Like, Rings of Power has this thing where they literally want a bad ass big moment every episode, but they can't write a whole season to have that where it flows properly. Mm-hmm. So, because it's impossible. You need to have a slow episode from time to time that sets the scene, that calms down from the previous big moment and builds up to the next one. Amazon didn't put the work in to do that. They just write every scene, every episode to be to the big scene that's going to happen, and it shocks you in a bad way. It's like, where the fuck did this come from? It's not good. But House of the Dragon, from episode 1 all the way through, like, I would say every episode does have a big moment. Actually, it's subtle big, but it's like a big moment of conflict between
exactly. It's usually like oh shit, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah, like
the dude
for example,
getting his head cut in half.
Yes, that guy. That's very subtle. It's subtle, right? It's not this big battle or something like epic proportions, but it's so impactful as a political gesture within that universe that it means so much, just as much as a big battle. It means just as much to the story development, to the way it's going to flow, to the implications of the plot. It means just as much. And House of the Dragon, from the very first episode, did world building. It literally world built from start to finish every episode. I don't think there's been an episode where world building did not occur.
Yeah, and also every character they introduce, they're continuously building on them. They're not
Yes.
just one-note characters.
Yes.
Even the side characters you only see a couple times.
That's the thing. Every character, even the ones that you see only like from scene to scene, maybe only in one episode, continuously grow between scenes.
Yes.
They continuously develop every character. Not a single one is ignored. They have, how many characters would you say, Will, are considered main characters? There's at least 5. Maybe between 5 and 10 characters are main characters.
Yeah.
And not a single one of them, except for maybe Daemon's kids, have been slightly ignored.
Yeah, but they're probably going to be a bigger part.
But they're going to be bigger next season or even the next episode, because they're now betrothed to the one, and they've only really existed for like 3 episodes. I mean, so they had quite a bit of development early on. Now they had a cool down.
Well, think about how much the pirate has changed from when you first introduced to him to now. Like that is a crazy arc to have in just a couple episodes, but. Like you
it
really
fits.
Feel it.
It fits. You see it. You can see how he developed there. You can see how he starts feeling himself after that stupid dragon he gets, and then just is like, it's my duty now to become a badass.
Yeah.
He feels like he is all powerful, and it makes sense how he basically becomes Daemon, a young Daemon.
And you understand, like within just one bit of dialogue, why he hates his brother. Yeah. And it's just like because his brother forced him to have sex with a prostitute, and it made him like super uncomfortable. And then they even have a follow through of that scene where she comments like, "Oh, you've grown up," and he's
he's extremely awkward with it. Yeah, he's just like, I have to get out of here now.
Yeah, but then like that, you can see that it's so subtle. You can see the character that they've actually developed for him.
And then the strife with on the King's Council, and then the King's Guard, the leader of the King's Guard, how he's
I forget his name.
Yeah, the Scottish guy who's big in Outlander. He's
also in The Hobbit. He's one of the dwarves.
Oh, is he? He's much better in Outlander. No, but like he develops a lot too. He's important. You barely see him speak, but he's important.
Yeah.
Sir Kristen Cole.
I hate him so much now.
I know. He's such a douche.
The thing is, you start off loving him, but you can see him just transcending into this crazy realm of
he's just a devotee to one person. He's not even devoted to the king he's sworn to protect.
No.
He's to the queen. And so it's like, there's not a character. You could pick any character and we could tell you how they've developed all season. It's a fantastic show because of that. It honestly feels like the first season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. Maybe even the second season was still just as good. So I mean, like it's up there with both of those and how they develop characters and expand on characters. And it's going to be the same again because you have the children, right, who are now going to have to step up and get developed further in the next season. It's like I think it makes it so stark how, pardon the pun, how different Rings of Power versus House of the Dragon is. It's just so blindingly blatant that the one is 1,000 times better than the other.
That's all I have to say about that too.
Yeah, there's a couple things have to watch it. You really do have to watch it because you'll come away from that feeling a little bit of hope for what actually happens.
Mankind.
When you see what a writer, producer, what they actually write when they care about the content and the story behind it, you see what they develop. It's not just a get rich quick scheme. It's not just I'm doing this because it makes money. It's literally, I want this story to be told myself because I want to be able to see it and I want it to be good. That's the vibe you get. There's only one thing that I have hated the entire season. Only one thing. And that was when Daemon's wife goes and has the dragon kill herself.
Yeah, you just disagree with her. You disagree with her motivations, and
yeah, I completely disagree with the motivations that the show writers are claiming she had.
Well, you got to have characters that you disagree with, and that's
no. It's not about disagreeing with the characters. That's not what bothers me. It's the fact that their justification for it is as if it's empowering and the brave thing to do. Right? It's not. It's not the thing that they claim it is. So it's me disagreeing with their interpretation. It actually came off cowardly as sin to me, but yeah, like there's only one thing that I didn't like, and that was it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be like a woman being powerful and taking her own destiny in her hands.
After we talked about it, I think I agree with you on that. But another thing is that
but that was a political moment, though. In my opinion, that is the one time that they tried to make a statement that goes along the lines of she's the badass who is making her own decisions.
She cannot be controlled.
Yeah, basically.
It's so strange, though, because it's honestly kind of a throwaway character because you only get to see her a couple times.
Right.
So they don't do it with the main character. But the one thing that going back, I don't think will age very well, is that like every couple episodes, someone just gets killed, and then there's no repercussion for it.
That is true, but it's been very weird. It's been weird all season. Yeah. Where they have, but then again, there's been so much peace, and they all have these spare children.
You read this up before, but again, like people just get stabbed,
but it's always like third and fourth sons. Name one who's a first son who's died with no repercussions, who has been killed by someone who's not more important than them by a significant margin. The brother to the sea snake guy, he dies. Why? No one's upset that he died.
Nope.
His entire family is aligned with the people who killed him.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Right there. Done. You have the gay lover of the sea snake's son, Leonard. All right. He dies.
The kissing night, that was on the nose.
He dies. Why? Why is no one held accountable?
Because he gets just pummeled by a Kingsguard. That's the only way I can think of it.
Right? And also, no one's going to say the reason why no one's going to really dig into the reason behind the death and like say it was so wrong. They're trying not to bring attention to it. Another one. Let's think of another one. There's the people who's tried killing each other over Rhaenyra's hand. But
someone died this episode. Kristen slams that dude's head on the table and kills him. He was definitely not a second son.
No, but he's also they also can claim that he fell, and because he's old and feeble.
It was a long flight of stairs.
Yeah, they've set him up as old and feeble, and also they're going to go to actual war soon. They don't care if his family takes the other side.
Yeah, fair.
He's irrelevant. There's the then there's the conflict. There is conflict between the two households in the Riverlands that they've talked about. There is consequences when those two are fighting. But weren't those the two households that were fighting each other over Rhaenyra's hand too? I
don't remember.
So I was under the impression that one of the Blackwoods was involved or whatever.
It was a Blackwoods, but I can't remember where they are.
I can't remember who the other one was, if it was tied to the rival house or not. But that would align with their constant conflict. So that fits, right? They're also two minor houses. That's an issue for their ruler to come up with, not the house, not the king. So it's kind of off script a little. I'm trying to think who else gets killed. Who else gets killed? That like there's all the people in the tourney in the very beginning who just start bludgeoning each other. But then again, most of them are like probably second, third sons who are actually getting killed, not heirs to anything.
Also, another thing is like he didn't die, but you had Eric, I don't know which one's which, fought Sir Kristen over the king. like the future king.
Neither of them got hurt.
I know, but
they
like that,
yeah.
you'd think there'd be some repercussion there that they're fighting.
Oh yeah, I think the problem is that there's no repercussions for Sir Criston because he's so loyal to the Queen that her father isn't going to punish him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he has a get out of jail card, and the other Eric doesn't. Whichever Eric it is, Eric or Eric, what retarded parents' name is that? Like seriously, but you have the one who's going to, according spoiler, if you didn't watch the preview, he's going to leave to go to Rhaenyra. The one leaves, right? Mm-hmm. The other one.
Way to ruin it for me.
Hey, it literally was in the preview where he's presenting the crown to her. But so there is repercussions of there again too, character development for two characters that have been very like seen but not heard for so long. Seen but not heard.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think of maybe there should be repercussions for all of the death in right now on dragons, like with the Dragon Keep, basically, where she just plowed through tons of people.
Yeah, just killed like half of King's Landing. Yes.
When the Gold Cloaks went out and took out a bunch of criminals and stuff, there was technically fallout for Daemon.
Mm-hmm.
So there were consequences there. There were consequences in a way for him waging war without his king's approval.
I think we get it. You're totally fine with this decision.
No,
you're really beating this point to death.
No, I'm trying to figure out where the consequences.
It just seems weird because
it does, but they make sense.
Kinda. If they had a throwaway line, I think I'd be more accepting of it.
True. It is. I will give you this. It is the one thing that they don't really explain.
Yes. And the thing is, like, they just dismiss it in the scene. So, like, someone just died, the dude's dead on the table, and they just continue the conversation. It's like, someone has to acknowledge this, right? Like,
I don't think any of them like him. They were all Hightower's men.
I get it, but still.
Even the freaking Lannister, what is he getting out of this? That's my question.
We'll see.
That's it's. But yeah, no, I'm just saying it's significantly better when you than Rings of Power.
Yes, it is so much better.
When we compare it side by side,
if we compare it side by side, if this was the Rings of Power writers, they would just have had the no build up, and then they're going to have the dragon fight within a couple minutes. They're going to have some weird creatures that will dissolve dragons.
You would have had everyone being friendly, and then randomly the Queen Mother's like, Aegon, you're taking over now.
Yep. Also, they gave her so much. They gave her extra motivation with her thinking that the king told her to put their son on the throne.
Yeah.
So it gave her own motivation.
She doesn't even try to discuss that with Rhaenyra.
No.
It's really annoying that she's just like, it's not even clear he's on Milk of the Poppy, and she's just going to take that as like gospel because that's what she wants to hear.
Yeah. She does want to hear it, but it's just cool that she got she has more than just her dad telling her to do it.
True. So
anyway, you guys want to give ratings to the shows and wrap this up? One's clearly better, and the other one just sucks. It sucks so bad.
Oh,
took the words right out of my mouth.
Rating for Rings of Power.
Oh yeah, you should do an episode rating and then also a season rating.
Episode rating -100. Honestly, it's so bad. It's a capstone of shit. It really is. There's no buildup. The whole thing about like they've made Sauron the victim. They've made him a victim. His kingdom was turned into a fiery piece of crap by people other than him. They made it where Galadriel doesn't like him anymore because she found out who he is, even though is it even clear that he's the reason her brother died? That's like a legit question.
Well, in the lore, he's not.
Huh?
In the lore, he dies like by a werewolf or a vampire or something.
Yeah, but like in the show,
doesn't he get fed to Sauron's like big hound? I thought that was the case. Like
they've been fed to him. It's just the fact that Sauron himself did not strike him down, as what Galadriel is saying.
Oh, okay, okay.
But the thing is, even in the show, where is her proof that it was Sauron who killed him? There's that symbol, but is he even using that symbol? He looks like he's been away forever.
Mm-hmm.
So unless she's really been trying to avenge him for just as long as he's been away, I just don't see it. But whatever. And then she just won't date. She won't become the queen, even though she is a queen. Like from this flimsy thing of how she's Lady Liberty. It's so bad. It's so bad that I can't pretend that it's remotely redeeming. And that's not even getting into the hobbits with Gandalf or anything, which is
Gandalf should just kill all the hobbits.
He really should. And as far as the season goes, that's also a negative 100. It's the same exact thing as that. It's just awful. For every reason we have stated about just they're trying to skip a rock across the lake from big scene to big scene to big scene. And it's just as empty as the air beneath that stone in between. It really is. Rating, though, for House of the Dragon so far, I would say that episode is a 9.
Okay.
It's a 9, and I'm fairly confident the last episode's a 10.
Yeah, I think it's setting itself up to be able to achieve a 10, so I'll be kind of sad if it doesn't. But for me, Rings of Power, because you can't go lower than a 1 on the Amazon rating scale.
You have to have a comment.
Well, yeah, I gave a comment, so I put 1, and if I could give it negative. So, oh man, the show was just so bad. If I could give it negative, I would probably go like negative, 100 as well, because it's just so bad. But because you can't do that on the Amazon ranking scale, I'll give it the 1. And for everything we've listed before, like the story is nonsensical. They've made Galadriel a villain who doesn't. She's a perfect villain because she doesn't think she is a villain, and
she's a huge narcissist.
Sauron is just. I feel bad for the guy because it looked like he was like putting himself in exile. He's trying to repent, which is actually what they talked about. Like he's in a mode of repentance. Yeah. It's like, what character are you talking about? This is not.
And he's trying to be good.
What
he's like hell? Literally trying to be good.
They clearly have not read the source material.
Yeah,
that does not exist.
Yeah, and he's trying to be good because of Galadriel's influence, and she doesn't appreciate anything he did.
No,
anything.
No.
Instead, she spits on him.
If he was good after meeting Galadriel, then what the hell was he doing for like the hundreds of years, if not 1,000 years prior to that moment? And I don't even know why I'm getting into this. The show doesn't make any fucking sense. So I'm going to take off points still, just because the rings make no sense and it's frustrating to me because that's the whole build up to the show. It's called the Rings of Power. So that should have been like the crowning jewel at the end of the season, like to wrap everything together and be like the oh shit moment. And
there was no quest to make the rings. The quest to make the rings was literally 1 episode, and the Smith should have been trying to do that all fucking season.
Yeah,
all season. That should have been his entire goal, not the stupid trees.
Yep. So that sucked. I'm gonna give the House.
Are you a negative 100?
Negative 100. Yeah, let's just do it. The House of the Dragon. I'm gonna give it an 8. Simply because it's a really good build-up episode. Everything is building up so nicely, and I think that so far the season is just a solid 8 for me. Like it is very good.
I gave it a 9 just because I thought that this one was stronger character development than almost all the other seasons.
The one I forget is his last name Strong. That one guy is super creepy.
Oh yeah, that is the Strong Larry's.
And I still don't understand his motivations.
I don't understand it either. It's odd because he could pick either side right now.
Yeah, so I guess his motivation, he gets to see the queen's feet.
Yeah, they made him a foot fetish person. I find that odd, but whatever. He is odd.
He is an odd dude, and it was just I don't quite understand that because I feel like this queen wouldn't necessarily allow herself to be subjected to that herself to that.
I think it's to say that she's so dependent on him to help her because she lacks resources of her own.
Yeah. Anyway, so I give it an 8.
That's fair.
All right, man. Rings of Power. What's your rating?
Yeah.
I'd have to give it a 9.
Get the fuck out of here.
What's the scale though? A 9 on the scale of like
like 90,000.
Terrible.
No, yeah, it's like it's a 1 out of 10. The fight logistics are thrown out the window. Character consistency is thrown out the window. It's far too fucking late for Galadriel to finally have grow a brain cell. The fight between Bimbo Baggins, the hobo, and the whitewashed characters from the East was horribly fucking stupid and lame.
Yes, it was.
The characters that everyone actually cares about, which seems, in this, well, I mean, I actually kind of care for him, but he's an idiot now. It was like Arendir is totally absent. The dwarves are completely ignored in this final episode.
Right.
It all ends on, well, what do we do next? And I don't even know what they're gonna try to do for the second season. It's a 1 out of 10. They fucking blew it in this finale.
Is the second season going to be about the fall of the dwarves?
Well, they definitely set up the Balrog.
They set it up that way, right?
I mean, the Balrog, he's only like 20 feet past the glory hole. So
right, they literally, it's going to be like Durin sets his head through the hole to try to see where the mithril is and just gets it chopped off by a Balrog.
Like, we're talking about glory holes. It's going to be one giant flaming penis going.
I just thought of a really cool visual. Like it would have been neat to try and set up, and instead of like the Balrog waking up because somebody littered in his room, it would have been so much more interesting if so from the other side, from like behind Durin the Third instead of in front of him, he throws in the leaf and he walks away and says seal it up, and just as he says seal it up and he walks away, you see the leaf float back up and it burns away. That would have been so much fucking better. Like, oh shit, the Balrog is nearby.
Yeah,
like it,
and
like
aware of them. He's behind.
So
wall.
like the Balrog, like just it would have burnt the leaf. The leaf would have lifted up like a piece of paper and burned away. Like that would have been so much better if we're talking like big visuals. But they couldn't do that. They put the Balrog and it looks just like fucking Bowser from the Mario movie.
Yes.
They also needlessly made Durin and his wife so like ready to kill their father.
Oh yeah, so power hungry suddenly.
Yeah.
She switches in that conversation. Like I know we brought this up last time, but she goes from like supporting him, like believing in his abilities, to like, we are going to rule this mine and all the mines, and we're going to be ahead of all the dwarven households.
Which at least she brought up the other dwarven households, but I feel like they're talking about only those within their kingdom, which is still odd.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So you gave it a 1. We gave it negative.
You're
100.
not willing to go negatives? Okay. I was wrong. It's a 10 out of 10 because it's exactly what they wanted it to be. It really is a 10 out of 10 for what the show writers wanted, because it's a bunch of nonsense that's just to excite children. So it's a 10 out of 10 from Amazon's perspective if that's what they actually wanted.
Oh yeah, you get a free pass, but Will calls me out.
No, I gave it a negative 100. Okay, that's my personal belief. I'm saying Amazon's belief
like 9. Fuck you.
Oh my gosh! No, it really is. They had to intentionally make it this bad. That's my point right there. So,
or they're just truly that incompetent.
I don't know.
I agree with that sentiment, because if you look at all these different lines that they added in, like, the whole, his suggestion, opening the dam, yada, 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 it's like they genuinely wrote it as though it would be like they had it in their heads that when they wrote it like that, however many years ago when they wrote it, that was genuinely a big moment.
Yeah.
They're gonna be able, they were like, yeah, this is it. This is gonna be the moment that everyone's like, holy cow, he is Sauron and all this other shit. They probably genuinely wrote it like that. Yeah. And that's the part that like bothers me the most.
It's so bad. I can't express how bad it is.
Also, why doesn't Sauron just end the fucking kingdom right then? Like,
well, presumably this isn't a very powerful Sauron, considering he lost his spleen and he was totally fine.
They don't set up that like any of the elves actually have any powers. I guess they don't really show him having powers either, but and he's there, so he should be able to just like overpower.
Gandalf has god power.
Oh yeah, well Gandalf is ridiculously powerful now.
Yeah, Gandalf can just instantly turn female Nazgul into a fucking flock of moth.
That's another thing. Like, you get to see the unseen realm for a second, so that they're clearly wraiths or something.
Yeah.
It's like what the hell are those things?
Well, they were supposed to be Eastern things. That's why I'm even more confused. I'm like, what? Yes. How could you have Nazgul now? Like, the rings aren't even made. He just got to he just teleported to Numenor.
Yep.
And if that isn't stupid, he just has this little evil villain cloak. Like, where did you get this? Why?
Yeah, I can't.
And mark my fucking words, they're gonna try and turn. They're gonna. I almost don't want to say it, but I feel like they're gonna retcon Adar is Celeborn. They might. It is not above these guys. I called it a key by a joke, and they fucking did it.
Oh.
Like, I would not be surprised if they retcon that his like face was changed and he doesn't look the same. And now,
oh my god,
boom, Adar is Celeborn, and it's like,
no. An elf though. I thought.
Yeah, Adar is an elf.
Yeah,
he's an elf.
Yeah.
But wait, why would he be him? I'm confused.
I'm just saying it is not beyond my. It wouldn't surprise me if they retconned Adar to be Celeborn. That's all I'm saying, because given how shit this fucking series is, how terrible their writing is, how they're trying to expectation your subversions, it's just infuriatingly stupid. And it would not surprise me. Well, I mean, I may very well have already called it that he's often Lorien and he's an amnesiac, probably hooking up with the redhead from The Hobbit. I have no idea. But that's what these people are trying to do, and it's driving me nuts.
That'd be so bad. I just really... I don't know how does he heal from that? But I guess that's my question.
I want to ask these questions, man. All right.
I know. Fuck. They're gonna. They're
just gonna rub the mithril on his face, and he's gonna be fine.
They're gonna make that a thing. You've convinced me already.
I know. I feel like that's actually gonna happen, and
because he has to be alive. They know he has to be alive, right? Like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Just fuck. I'm upset. I'm actually upset about you. That was.
Yep. On that, we should just end so we can go to sleep and cry.
And the Balrog will probably be gay. Okay, I'm actually fucking with you.
That's so possible.
That's why it wouldn't let Gandalf leave. Okay. It was his love interest.
It used a whip for a reason.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think you're right, Will. It's time to go to bed and have whatever fever dream is not Rings of Power as a nightmare. So all right, with that being said, this is the last time we're talking about Rings of Power since it had a finale.
Thankfully.
Unless they eventually come out with an episode 9 as a movie
Mm-hmm.
that is a comedy that makes fun of the entire season, in which case I will happily do another episode for that. But next week you'll get our review on House of the Dragon finale, which
Yay!
we're looking forward to. So with that being said, I'm Andrew.
Will.
And I'm Elbelio.
Thank you for watching the CHRILLCAST. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.